Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little man.
The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon. I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Believe me.
Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
There's the ranking Democrat on the committee saying that she has referred this information that she has received to federal authorities. This is what she says, Wolf. I received information from an individual concerning the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. That individual strongly requested confidentiality, declined to come forward or press the matter further. I have honored that decision. I have, however, referred the matter to federal investigative authorities. Now, it is unclear exactly what she is talking about, what information has come to light that has been given to her about Brett Kavanaugh and his past. Even members of this committee, Wolf, do not know what this issue is about. The chairman of the committee, Chuck Grassley, earlier we asked him about this. He said he had not seen this issue. He'd only read some press accounts about this. And even some of the Democrats on the committee had been pressing Senator Feinstein to tell them more about exactly what this is about. And what I've been told is that they have not gotten that full debrief from her. But nevertheless, she has taken this rather extraordinary step at this stage in the process to give this information to the authorities because to look into this further. Now, our colleague Ted Barrett just caught up with Dick Durbin, who's a Senate Minority Whip who sits on that committee, asked him about this as well. And Durbin said he did not know how serious this is. He doesn't know if it is something that is going to be damaging to Kavanaugh or something that is absolutely nothing serious at all. But he is trying to delay these proceedings, as Democrats have been doing for some time, demanding that the confirmation hearing vote be delayed until this is fully investigated. Republicans, however, so far don't plan to do that. They want to have a committee vote next week and then on the floor soon after, and for him to get confirmed by that October session before the Supreme Court. But nevertheless, uncertain what this is all about, if it's serious or not, but enough for the ranking Democrat to refer this matter to the authorities. We'll see ultimately what they decide to do.
Okay, so I don't know if you could follow that, but here's what happened. Just before we were about to go live, there was a report that started breaking that Dianne Feinstein, who is the ranking member on the Senate Judiciary Committee, said that, here's her quote, I have received information from an individual concerning the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. That individual strongly requested confidentiality, declined to come forward or press the matter further, and I have honored that decision. I have, however, referred the matter to federal investigative authorities. Now, this matter is something that was reported to The Intercept last night. The Intercept had this mysterious story last night where they disclosed that there was the existence of a letter. And according to The Intercept, the letter was rumored to include details about an incident involving Kavanaugh that took place during his time at Georgetown Preparatory School in Maryland. The letter that Dianne Feinstein got came from Anna Eshoo. Anna Eshoo is a congressman who represents California's 14th district. Apparently, somebody who is affiliated with Stanford University, not the subject of the letter, but somebody from Stanford University, somebody that either teaches there or we don't know. Somebody who affiliated from Stanford gave the letter to Anna Eshoo, the California congresswoman. Anna Eshoo then passed it along to Dianne Feinstein. Anna Eshoo's office will not comment on what is in that letter or how, who this person from Stanford is or how it came to be in her possession. All we know is that Anna Eshoo passed it on to Senator Dianne Feinstein, and that Senator Dianne Feinstein has now put out a statement saying that she has received information from an individual concerning the nomination of Brett Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court, and that the individual strongly requested confidentiality and declined to come forward to press the matter further. And so Dianne Feinstein is saying she's honoring that person's decision to remain anonymous, and she has referred the matter to the FBI. Now, what's interesting is that the woman who is the subject of the letter, not the person from Stanford who gave it to Anna Eshoo, but the person who's the actual subject of the letter, is reportedly represented by legal counsel. And the legal counsel that reportedly represents the woman who is the subject of this letter having to do with Brett Kavanaugh is a whistleblower attorney who has been described as, quote, Washington's top attorney for women who want to fight back. That's according to her profile in Washingtonian magazine. Now, her name is Deborah Katz, and she would not respond to for a request to comment. CNBC called her, and she says there's really nothing to say. She's told that to BuzzFeed as well. And just so you know, Deborah Katz, the attorney, is the attorney who represented one of the women who accused former New York Attorney General Eric Schneiderman of physical abuse and threatening, her, like, we can make people disappear and you don't want to complain about me, this kind of thing. And it's so funny because, well, it's not funny, but it's so strange because today is the day that New Yorkers go to the polls in a primary to pick the Democratic nominee for the replacement for one Attorney General Eric Schneiderman, who had to resign because of the good legal representation these women had. So it does lead you to believe that this has to do with some sort of a sexual abuse thing that, and if you think about it, though, sexual abuse, like if it was a sexual abuse thing that apparently happened at this prep school in Maryland, that would be like a state issue, wouldn't it? That wouldn't be an FBI thing. That wouldn't be a federal thing. But what would be a federal thing is if he was questioned about it. And as we showed you yesterday, he is a world heavyweight champion liar. We showed you that yesterday. That show's still up on my Facebook page. We left it there. You can go and watch that clip. I tried to put it into news feeds, as many as I could. But I'm telling you that if he were interviewed, let's say, in a background check scenario, he would be interviewed by the FBI. And they would do a very complete background check on him. And that would include questions about romantic relationships, everything going back to, the first time you ever, knocked boots. Ew, sorry. But he is a liar. We know that he's been lying to Congress. He's been lying to the Senate. I showed you yesterday. He lied to the Senate in 2004. He lied to the Senate again because his nomination languished for years because nobody believed him. They thought he was lying about receiving stolen material, stolen from the Senate Judiciary Committee Democrats back in 2002. And now emails have come out. And emails have been, released. Cory Booker released some more of these emails. Leahy read one of the emails during the hearing, gave Kavanaugh a copy of one of the emails, asked him to comment on why he was CC'd and actually read it and responded to it, indicating that it had been read by him, saying, who signed this? So he read it. You know that he had a comment. And 2004, he denied that he had ever seen these documents. 2006, he denied that he ever saw these documents. Now, of course, in 2018, he's saying, well, of course I saw these documents. He's a liar, is what it is. We know he lied. So what in the hell, would the FBI be involved or called for? I mean, why? I will tell you that the Democrats have tried to subpoena documents from him, having nothing to do with probably this letter. But they have tried to subpoena documents from the time that he was the Rob Porter in the Bush White House, right? The secretary to the president, the guy who, coordinates all documents that end up on the president's desk. He was the Rob Porter. And of course, Rob Porter, had to leave because he was a spousal abuser. He beat 2 wives. John Kelly covered and lied about that. So, as soon as I found out, I fired him. Bull crap. They were making excuses. And then all of a sudden, a photo with a black eye and a second wife shoved me through the shower door. Then he had to resign. I mean, these are just really virulent men. I mean, Trump himself, virulent. Briotti, the vice chair of the Republican National, Committee. The stories about what he did to this poor woman who, was involved with him sexually, and how he had unprotected sex with her, knowing he had genital herpes. Sentenced her to a life sentence. Got her pregnant on top of it. Paid for her abortion, covered the whole thing up. The same 2 lawyers, the same Michael Cohen and this other, guy out in California making a deal, shut her up, shut her down. She said he was so abusive. He was, threatening her life too. We can make people disappear. It's funny. These guys don't know much, much English. For people who demand you speak it, it's always, we can make you disappear. Same thing, Stormy Daniels. Some guy comes up to her in a parking lot. It'd be a shame if anything happened to your daughter. These are some really disgusting people who are birds of a feather. They do more than flock together, apparently. It's really disgusting. But apparently yesterday, a spokesperson for Judiciary Committee Chairman Chuck Grassley told CNBC today that he was aware that Dianne Feinstein referred this particular letter to the FBI, but he suggested it shouldn't cause any delays in his confirmation. Shouldn't, So, they were going to vote today. They're not voting today. They're going to vote September 20th, which is next Thursday. He said there's no plan to change the committee's consideration of Judge Kavanaugh's nomination. But it does look as if this woman, this attorney, Deborah Katz, the whistleblower attorney, who represented Schneiderman's victims and forced him to resign, and now New York is voting on, Zephyr Teachout or, any number of candidates to take his place. By the way, it's the I hate this word, the gubernatorial Democratic primary is today. They kept here's why they're voting on a Thursday. Everybody thought, maybe it was Rosh Hashanah, or, because Tuesday was 9/11, you know what I mean? No, it was because they separated the federal elections from the state elections in New York. Very strange. And so today is the state. Very strange, very wacky, very, very stupid, if you ask me. But anyway, so today is the day they're going to choose between Cuomo and Cynthia Nixon. Now, of course, Cuomo spent multiple millions of dollars on his campaign, called her an anti-Semite, which was just vile. And she spent $450,000, and he's 40 points ahead of her. But, the kind of polling that they do is very early, so she could win. She could win if you showed up. Just saying, she could. But that said, they're going to vote on Kavanaugh next Thursday. Now, Dianne Feinstein and others on the Democratic side have tried to subpoena documents from the National Archives so that they could show the American people these, and they're all marked committee confidential. So the senators have seen them, but they can't show them to the American. This whole thing is just such a fix. It's such a rigged thing. So I don't know what this is. I just tell you that this was really shocking. Oh, so I was going to tell you that the attorney for the victims against Eric Schneiderman, Deborah Katz is apparently her name, gave she said there's nothing to say, but BuzzFeed reported that Deborah Katz was on Capitol Hill yesterday after The Intercept published this report that there was a mysterious letter, and that the mysterious letter was about somebody who didn't want to press charges but who wrote a letter that needed to be investigated about Kavanaugh. But this attorney was on Capitol Hill yesterday after the Intercept report came out, and she was spotted leaving just as the Judiciary Committee Democrats were meeting in the lobby of the Senate. So maybe there was pressure put on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Maybe there was pressure put on Dianne Feinstein to do something with this letter. I don't know, but she did refer to federal investigators. And we'll have to wait and see what this is. However, I just want you to know that the Republicans have no desire to investigate anything about Kavanaugh, including the fact that he lied to them under oath multiple times throughout, how many years would this be? 14 years. Over 14 years. A 14-year period this man has lied. So don't give up. Don't give up. But I will tell you this. I got a funny feeling if they rush him through and they get their vote next Thursday, and it won't be the whole floor. It'll be the Judiciary Committee voting him out to the floor. And, of course, there are 11 Republicans on the Judiciary Committee and 10 Democrats. So, of course, they'll have the extra vote, right? If they vote him out to the floor, he'll get confirmed. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.